Welcome back to the Kiwi Wedding Podcast. My name is Lydia and I'm a wedding photographer at Lydia Rachel Photography and your host. Guys, I can't quite believe it. This is our 100th episode. That is insane. It has been almost 2 years of doing this, 100 episodes, and I just wanted to take a little moment to celebrate that and be grateful for all of you that have listened to all the incredible guests that I've had on 100 conversations. You know, I reflect on starting this back in 2023 and I just really felt like there was space in the wedding community to share real stories, experiences from people that have done it before, sharing incredible vendors' knowledge and mostly just that real life relatable experiences. And for people, mostly brides, let's be honest, I think it's about 95% women that listen to this, to be able to connect with each other in this really special season of life. And yeah, I'm really proud of the community we've built so far. It's wild to think I'm 100 episodes in already. It only feels like we've scratched the surface. So many more conversations to come and exciting things on the horizon. I am going to be releasing another special little bonus episode this week. A bit of a Q&A with me and just reflecting on the podcast so far. If you want me to answer your question in that, then send me an Instagram message. If you're listening to this right when it comes out, I'll pop up another question box on there too. For episode 100, it is special too because I have one of my really good friends, Kristie, joining us today. And she's not only a great friend of mine, I had the honor of photographing her day as well. Kristie used to live 5 minutes down the road from me here in Auckland, and as you'll hear from her story, she's ended up back in Nelson with her husband, and I very much miss her being pretty much on my doorstep, but I'm so happy for her. They got married in Nelson on a beautiful sunny day in her dad's backyard, and then reception at the Boathouse on the water. We chat through her whole planning process, struggling to find a dress that she liked in Nelson and looking online instead, doing quite a lot of DIY elements and the ups and downs that come with that, what was most important to them on the day and why they chose to have a bit smaller guest list, working with quite a small budget and how they managed to come under that. Some amazing advice around focusing on what's really important and so much more. Make sure you jump over to Instagram to see some of her wedding photos shot by me. It really was a gorgeous day. Okay, lots of love. Enjoy episode 100. How am I going to say that? 100 with Kristie. Hi, Kristie. Thanks so much for joining me on the podcast today. So funny doing with you. Kristie is one of my best friends and I photographed her wedding as well. So I know a lot of her story and was a part of the day, but excited to share it with everyone else.
Yay, thanks for having me, Liz. It's so nice to chat to you.
Yay. So we'll go right back to the start. First off, if you could tell us a bit of the story about how you guys met and your life together.
Perfect. So my husband and I met on a dating app of all things, not how I thought I would meet him, but it was very cute. So at the time I was living in Auckland and my husband lived in Christchurch, so we were polar opposite ends of the country. And I think the reason it worked is because I was in Nelson for I think it was a Christmas holidays or something. So I was in Nelson and at the same time he was in Hamner with his family. So we ended up matching somehow, I think because of the distance being a little bit closer. And then we talked for probably a solid week. It was like the easiest conversation I've ever had. He was so so chatty. And you know how on dating apps you try to talk to guys and there's just like no chat or it's like real boring or whatever. With him it wasn't. It was like super natural. So that was really cool. So we clicked, we hit it off, and then we kind of like had our first FaceTime after like a week, and we were like still kind of, a bit smitten with each other. And then we kind of made the decision that we wanted to after a few weeks, we were like, yeah, we like talking to each other. We kind of want to talk exclusively. And then we needed to make a plan to meet up because I had gone back to Auckland and he'd gone back to Christchurch. And so we'd never actually met in person. So I think it was 2.5 months into us talking that he flew up to Auckland and we spent a weekend together getting to know each other. And I mean, it was like so scary because I'd never actually met him in person. But once we met, it was like, oh, this is exactly what I thought it was going to be like. He was exactly who I thought he was. And it was the best weekend ever. So that's when we officially became girlfriend and boyfriend. And that's kind of how our story started. It's a bit random. And then so we did long distance for most of our dating relationship.
So tough to do that. Seemed like such a long time, but yeah, lots of trips back and forth, and yeah, it's so cool that I witnessed a lot of that as well.
Yeah.
Heard about the time he first met him on the driveway and everything. So
Oh
good.
my goodness. So nervous.
Great
I was
memories.
such a smitten kitten.
Love it. So yeah, you guys dated for a while and then got engaged, and you were still long distance, like right up to then. Hey, so yeah, can you tell us a bit about the proposal story?
Very cute. So I was in Christchurch spending time with him. I think it was around, oh, it was after New Year's. And so because we were long distance, we kind of made every significant moment an anniversary. So I can't remember exactly what anniversary this one was, but it wasn't just the standard dating one, like it was, we made like some random anniversary and anniversary. So it was just an excuse for us to like do something fun together. So I had this idea that whatever we had planned that day was anniversary related. So it was just like, a cute dinner and all these sort of things we had planned. And he said he would take care of the whole day. So that was quite cute. So I could just trust him to sort of plan the day and I was sort of none the wiser. And then we woke up on the day and he said, okay, so we're going to go for a picnic. And I was thinking, oh, how fun, like a picnic, cute. And we get in the car and we head off to go to this picnic. And I realize, I'm like, where is the food? Like, we haven't stopped by any supermarket. Like, what are you doing? And I'm grilling him the whole way there. I was like, babe, where's the food? Like, what are you doing? And anyway, so he took me up to this spot, which it was kind of on the crash, like on the, I think they're called, I can never remember what they're called, but they're the hills in Christchurch, like
The
high
Port
up. If
Hills,
you,
was it?
that's possibly the one, yeah. This particular part was called Godly Heads. Prior to the engagement day, he had been taking me up these hills throughout the week to kind of like show me round, and he turns out he was listening to which kind of spot that I really resonated with. So I was like, wow, this is stunning. Like, it's so beautiful, this particular spot, Godly Heads. And so we start heading towards Godly Heads, and I'm realizing, oh my gosh, I think we're going to Godly Heads, and I think he's planned a picnic up there. And so we get there, and he had arranged for one of those kind of cute picnic organizers to create a picnic for us. So they had this beautiful table like nestled in the grass and this rug set up and a little charcuterie set up, and then some pretty flowers. And so we sat and we ate and we chatted for a little bit. And then when the kind of environment got quiet, because it was on a walking path, when it got quiet, he asked me to stand up to take a video with him. So that was his like way of getting me to stand up. And then, yeah, he dropped down on one knee and proposed, and I cried my eyes out. Apparently, I said yes way too early, but that's very me. And yeah, it was a really cool moment.
Oh, so special. And then you had like a little shoot after that, hey?
Oh, yes, we did. Yeah, he whisked us off to do our kind of official engagement shoot with a guy that he worked with who said he would do it. So, yeah, that was really cool. It was at a different part of the hills. So, another really stunning spot that overlooked Littleton Harbour. And so, yeah, I just love those spots. They were some of my favorites.
Oh, such a nice story. And yeah, such a cool special spot that you can return to as well. Had you been one of those girls that had like dreamed about your wedding? Did you have a vision in mind? What were those sort of first steps, starting to plan, deciding where, all of that?
I mean, yeah, I think I was one of those girls that just like was excited to be married, probably more so like to
Mm.
have my partner, to be a team. I was excited for that, but I had dreamed about planning the wedding and creating, like it wasn't I never really saw my wedding as for myself. I saw it more as like a chance to just like have a lot of fun and be really creative and, like celebrate the people in our lives that have got us to the point that we were. So I guess the kind of very first thing we did is we had to decide where we were going to get married. I am from Nelson and he's from Christchurch. So I initially thought Auckland was just straight off the table because that's kind of where I lived, but it's not necessarily, I didn't have a huge significant anything growing up there. And so we were picking between Christchurch and Nelson, and we ended up going with Nelson. So that was kind of the first steps. And then we had to sort of get into venues and things like that. And we only wanted a short engagement. I think it was 9 months all up. So it wasn't too long. So we kind of jumped straight into it. But because we were initially long distance, and when he proposed, I had to fly home for another month before my job finished. And then we moved to Nelson together. So there was about a month of us literally being in limbo where we were engaged, but we really barely got to celebrate it together. We had to like tell all our friends really, really quickly. So it was kind of also just a chance for us to like pause and like process and be happy and excited for our engagement. So we tried to do that as best as we could, but yeah, probably once we got to Nelson, things started moving pretty quickly.
Yeah, you sort of had to like wrap up your seasons both in those cities, then moving to a new place, like fresh start, new chapter in so many ways. Yeah, did you end up looking at a few different venues down there, or yeah, how did you decide on the one?
We looked at one venue, we loved it immediately, and we booked it. And then I
So
got some
good.
tips. I got some tips that like, oh, don't stop looking for your venue because you might find something else that you love, or something else might come up. And so that's actually what happened for us. We ended up needing a backup option because we picked a gorgeous garden venue with a marquee, but I really wanted to get married out on their kind of courtyard, but there just wasn't a backup plan that we were quite sold with. So we actually ended up changing to two different venues for our ceremony and reception, and that was actually like halfway through wedding planning we changed that. So yeah, if there's anything I can say, don't be afraid to keep looking even after you've booked something, because sometimes you just pay that initial deposit and you can still get out of it. So we ended up going with my dad's backyard for our ceremony. He's got like a really beautiful backyard. We're really blessed, and it's kind of on a private sort of section out where I live in Nelson. And it was quite special to have that be our venue because nobody else could have it. And so I actually quite liked that part. And then we did our reception at a place called the Boathouse, which was a really awesome kind of indoor hall venue, and but a little bit more elevated than a hall. And yeah, so that was our safe kind of indoor venue, which was also a backup if the ceremony didn't work out because it rained. But we were really blessed. It didn't rain, so we had the most beautiful outdoor ceremony.
Oh, it was so good. There was like a few rainy days that week, but you got the
Yeah,
stunner of a day, and it was like a Thursday, wasn't it? So
yeah, Thursday, yeah.
Thursday, not the like usual day you might get married, but you just must have known, picked the winner. So
Totally
good.
nailed it.
Did you guys kind of sit down and think about what were like the most important things to you when planning the wedding? Did you have your top priorities in mind?
Yeah, we did. We kind of picked a top three for each of us, and then we discussed kind of whether we needed to pivot those a little bit to align to have a top three together. My top three, I can't remember the exact, but we both really agreed that we wanted awesome food because we've got lots of well, both of us love food, and then we've got lots of family and friends that love food too. The photographer was obviously incredibly up there. That's like such a large part of what you put money into, and including what you get out of it afterwards. Besides just memories, you actually get the physical photos, so that was important to us. And then for my husband, videography was kind of the next one that he really wanted to go down. And for me, it was kind of more that I wanted to feel like I didn't necessarily need to spend a ton of money on my dress, but I wanted to feel insanely beautiful. And I wanted us to both feel just like really top tier in our clothes. So that was kind of that one. And then I actually think I picked a fourth, which was that I really wanted to have epic decor, like beautiful tables and kind of some of those details I wanted to take care of. And so we kind of were able to at least align on like we wanted people to feel special via the food and the decor. We wanted to feel great, so that was like awesome. And then we agreed on the photographer and the videographer. We tried right up until a really last minute, but we ended up having a car breakdown in our wedding planning process, and it just meant we had to pivot on the videographer, which we were totally gutted about. But it is what it is. Sometimes life just kicks you down in that way, but it's okay. So we still got our beautiful video photos, but had to say no to the videographer.
Yeah, I remember having that chat with you, and I think we were sort of talking about like content creators around that time as well,
Yeah.
which I couldn't find any in that area. So I don't know if there is in Nelson now. Maybe it's an untapped market, and obviously you could just like find a cousin or a friend to do that who's
Yeah.
like good on an iPhone. That's like a sometimes more affordable option for people. But yeah, amazing to hear that. And you did some really cool like DIY projects with your decor as well. So I might chat about that too. Can we talk about the dress and a bit more about your outfits? How was that process, shopping, finding it?
Yeah. So that wasn't actually, that was probably an area that was a bit tricky for us. So Nelson isn't like fruitful with wedding places, I guess you could say. Yeah, maybe lacking a little bit in terms of styles that I really vibe with. My husband, we ended up like waiting for quite some time to get his suit. We ended up going down to Christchurch to do that because we were already down there for a trip. And I think what I ended up doing was finding a really stunning dress online. I ended up finding a bridesmaid dress that was an ivory that I just loved and thought would look really beautiful on me. And so I ordered it. Yeah, I ordered that, and then I ordered a separate veil, and then I had a friend actually make me a cute neck scarf out of this beautiful sort of ivory satin. And that was like my favorite thing ever about the day, about what I got to wear. But yeah, so my dress came from I can't remember where, overseas, and it was like this off the shoulder kind of long sleeve. I wanted long sleeve because I love kind of when my sleeves cover my hand. I just sort of feel a bit elegant and a bit cute.
Yeah.
And so I did that, and it was, long and fitted. And then the veil was like this, it sort of sat on the top of my head, fell all the way down. Like, I think they call them cathedral veils. They're really like long. And then I had a thick kind of lace edge on it, which I loved. A veil was really important to me. I don't know why. I think there's just that little tradition that I loved. And then the neck scarf, oh, that was just really nice to have a friend have made that for me and get to wear and like walk around with something that she had. I think it meant a lot to her too, so that was quite cute. But yeah, so my husband, his suit, he looked so sweet and just handsome. But yeah, so we got his from Christchurch, so he got to have that kind of try on experience with his groomsmen down there, whereas I more so just did it, at home with my nana and my bridesmaid, my maid of honor.
So good. Yeah, you looked stunning. I love how your whole look came together in those different pieces. And yeah, I love a veil as well. I think that just makes you a bride and can be really fun in photos as well with like movement and light and everything. So
Mm.
yeah, so nice. So yeah, you just had the one each on your bridal party. How was that
Mm-hmm.
decision? Just deciding to have one, obviously, yeah, quite obvious to you who you would choose, kind of had that in mind. But yeah, how was that kind of process for you?
It was good because I knew who I wanted my maid of honor to be. My best friend, she was the obvious choice. Like, I just knew she would have my back. She would be really helpful. She knew my style, and she knew me probably the best out of everybody that I know. And it's just like I would have loved to have been her bridesmaid, but I was living out of the country at the time, and so it just kind of was really cool to get to have that full swing moment with her. Choosing only one was, it was challenging, but it ended up making the most sense because we were conscious of cost. So I did have a couple of other people, very significant people to me, that were people I would have loved to have asked, but we just kind of had to make some decisions about how much everything was going to come to. And you have to make sacrifices sometimes. You can't have it all unless you've got an endless budget, but we didn't. So we wanted to be quite savvy. So we just went with the one on either side, and my husband chose his brother-in-law. And I think they were both really great choices. They were both the type of people that would love to help. Like they weren't difficult to work with or anything like that. They just kind of made the process feel like you were important, your ideas were important, and what you want to achieve, we're going to be here to help you. So I think we made a great choice. I would have loved a couple of other people, but they were still at the wedding and they were still really important parts of it. I found other ways to include them.
Yeah, it can be a big expense, especially if you have a big bridal party, and like you say, just finding other roles for people on the day is so good. You can still include everyone. How about the guest list? How many did you end up having? And yeah, however much you want to go into that process, what that was like.
My gosh, guest lists are hard.
Mm.
Definitely not sad that we won't have to do that part again. We wanted a smallish wedding, 40 to 60 max. I think for us, because of cost, it was really important to have the people that were really relevant and really key in our lives, either have been or are currently. And so we did include people that we may not always see, but they're still really important parts of our world. But it did mean that sometimes we had to say no. We had to be quite brutal about some family, like we didn't want to extend to every cousin's cousin. And that did cause a little bit of tension with my family, especially, just sort of not really agreeing with some of the decisions we made. So yeah, it's hard. It just makes you kind of question whether you're making the right choice or not. But at the end of the day, I think we did. We had all the really important people there, people who have invested in our lives, who have spoken over us, and who have, actually been there and supported us through our relationship. And so that it was tricky to keep it small, but in the end, it also made it easier to be brutal because we had a reason why. We can't afford everybody. We really just want to keep it to the really kind of key people. And so in the end, it worked out great. And I think in total, because you always have a few that can't make it, we had 45, I think, including us. And so actually that was really perfect. It just felt incredibly intimate. We felt like every person we had there, we were just like beaming to see. And so yeah, not that we wouldn't love to have everybody, but I don't regret not extending it beyond our means.
Yeah, no, it was a really nice number, I think. Still like a fun party vibe, but like, yeah, intimate, and get that kind of quality time with everyone.
Yeah.
It can be one of the biggest things that blows cost out, and it's tricky navigating that with some family members. But yeah, you landed on a good number in the end, I think. Can we talk a bit about the big day, maybe a little bit of the lead up to it, and yeah, how everything went? Any highlights or favorite moments?
Oh my gosh, many, many highlights. Um, yeah, the lead up was, oh, actually, I did get quite stressed out, um, because I did take on quite a bit of DIY, or wanted to take on quite a bit of DIY. I definitely don't regret it, but anybody who's kind of creative probably knows that your tap can run out sometimes. And yeah, and and you've got to still get stuff done, and we were still working full time. We had moved to a new city. We were adjusting to things. We were trying to connect with friends and see family, and like there's so many external things going on besides the wedding. So the lead up at times did get a bit stressful, just I really wanted to pour a lot into the detail and the care. That's one way that I show love. You know me, you know that I love to host a dinner party. We actually love to host dinner parties together,
I
and it is
miss
so
you.
much.
Move back.
I miss you too, and I would love to. Um, but yeah, the detail part that we put into our planning our dinner parties, I wanted that on another level for the wedding, because I just love how blessed I feel when I show up to an event and I can see the effort that's been put in. Like, for me, that is really considerate, really loving. And I knew plenty of my family and friends would feel blessed if they saw the effort that we put into making this experience fun for them too. So yeah, I got a little bit tired, probably a little bit burnt out at times, but on the day, seeing everything come together, it was so worth it. It wasn't like I would do it, I would love to do it all over again and have another, like, it's just so much fun when you get into it. But yeah, I guess there was like probably the byproduct of me being a little bit tired and a bit burnt out is I had to just slow down in some ways. So I ended up putting quite a bit of effort into our bridal table. I did my maid of honor and I actually ended up just sourcing a whole bunch of local wholesale flowers, and then we did our own kind of display on the front of the table. And then we did a few like candles and like fruit pieces, and I went and actually bought these really cute plates and cups that I thought actually would be cute for our bridal table, but then also we can take them home and they can be a little memory for us. So we still use them to this day, and they're very cute. But in terms of the guest tables, we had to like pull back a little bit in terms of what I put on top, because I just couldn't actually achieve everything I wanted to. So a little bit gutted that that's probably one minor regret I had, that maybe I didn't outsource a little bit more to help me with guest tables, or maybe use other means, some digital help or something like that. But in the end, what I did for the guest tables was I handwrote their little card names with, I really liked this kind of crayon look. So I did like a little white card, and then I had a pastel pencil and did their names in this kind of like wispy print. And I actually love how they turned out. They were really fun. And some of the guests that came actually wanted to keep their little name cards, which was cute. And then we did, what else did we do? So on the bridal table, we went with like a beautiful butter yellow and white theme. And then on our cake table, we did this really cute lilac purple. So I kind of want, or wisteria kind of purple. I kind of wanted purple and yellow to bring in a bit of color. And then for the guest tables, we did the opposite. So we did white tablecloths with yellow napkins. And so I loved that look. So it did feel like we still gave effort, and it still looked beautiful. I just probably would have done more maybe florals on the guest tables. Yeah, so that was kind of like what it ended up looking like. And it was like real highlight to see all that come together. In terms of other highlights, we just had the most fun together, the most fun connecting with everybody. Got the coolest photos, and just like, I don't know, they were really special to us. And it was just a reminder that no matter what it felt like leading up, no matter how stressful it felt, we just had the most fun on the day. At the end of the day, we laughed together. We were just like really happy to see everybody. So that was a huge highlight. The ceremony was kind of about lunchtime, I think. Can't actually remember. And we, like I said, we had that at my dad's house, and it was the most beautiful, perfect day. So obviously we had this ceremony. We had a really cute, I really loved our ceremony. I think it was really sweet. It was short and quick, kind of to the point. And then afterwards we had all the photos, which was, I've never had to smile that much. My mouth and my jaw got kind of sore,
Yeah.
but that's fine. And then we had kind of, I think, not quite like a cocktail hour, but cocktail hour maybe. Like we had charcuterie boards, and everybody sort of stayed back and hung out. We gave them some food so that when we went off to get our photos, everybody sort of felt tied over until dinner. And then me and my husband and our bridal party, we went off to this really stunning venue called the Lee River, which is where we got all our kind of bridal photos done. That was awesome. They were like kind of cool and rocky and like foresty, and yeah, I love our photos. They're very cool.
So many gorgeous spots in Nelson. So good.
Yeah, really nature like rich. And then we headed off to the reception, which was about 5 o'clock. So we kind of did mainly afternoon stuff. We wanted to have an early dinner because we actually had kids, a couple of family kids attending the reception, and so we wanted them to be able to be fed. And then, yeah, so the reception was kind of like a standard reception. We came in, we ate. We had a buffet style dinner, which was really fun. And then we had, the classic speeches. And then my husband's sister surprised us with a beautiful song. She's an incredibly talented singer. And we also have a lot of actually talented singers in our friend group. So they sung for us as well, which was really cool. And then during the speeches, we had my husband's, I was going to say my husband's maid of honor, but I'm really meaning
Best man.
best man. I'm really meaning that. Um,
Man of honor.
he he did an awesome haka for
Mm.
my husband. It was incredible. It was like, wow, really powerful. And then, yeah, so then after dinner and dessert, we kind of got into the little boogie. We ended up all doing the cha-cha slide. Everybody got involved, his mum and everything. It was very cute. And then, yeah, we kind of tried to dip off quite early, because we were going to be heading off very early the next day to fly to. Oh no, that's not true. I take that back. We were heading off. We had family the next day. So yeah, so we wanted to dip off kind of 9:30ish, and then everybody started packing down for us, which was awesome. So yeah, that was kind of the run of the day. It was really great.
Yeah, so nice. Such a beautiful spot for the reception as well. I had a really nice sunset going over the water, and there's like a
Yeah,
deck over the water kind of. So yeah,
yeah.
such a beautiful day. Did you find, like, what was the hardest part about the whole wedding planning process? Is there anything you look back on and regret or would have done a little differently?
I wouldn't say it's the hardest, but I would say that if I look back, I do kind of feel like there's a little hole in my heart about it. So I never kind of got to have that bridal try on experience like I probably would have loved. That's probably an element of growing up that I dreamed about, going to the wedding dress place and trying on all these dresses and dresses that I loved. I did get to have the experience in Nelson where I tried on some dresses here, but they weren't the style that made me feel beautiful. So it kind of honestly didn't have that same feeling of trying on all those dresses and feeling like you're just the most beautiful person in the world at that moment. So I kind of regret I didn't push for that a bit more for myself. I sort of, once I found my dress online, I was like, perfect, let's just go with this. It fits the budget. I think it's beautiful. And I don't regret my dress choice in the end, but I do regret not having that experience of trying on dresses with my bridesmaid. And I probably would have taken my nana, but Nelson just didn't have the spots that I wanted. And because of budget, we didn't have the capacity to fly to Christchurch, Wellington, or Auckland to sort of have that experience. So I do feel gutted about that. But yeah, like I said, I don't regret my dress choice in the end. Otherwise, no, there's not like much that I regret. Like I think everything else that I wanted to achieve, we did get to. So that was really cool.
Yeah, no, I think that's so relatable for people, especially if you live in kind of those regional areas that might not have as many bridal stores, or yeah, like you can't always afford to just like fly to the city, and it's a big,
Totally.
yeah, massive expense to do that. But then, yeah, it's such like a special season, so really fun to lean into that. But no, totally understandable. Did you guys have a budget? If you're happy to talk about that, even like a ballpark figure, how did you navigate that? And yeah, can you talk us through that process a little bit?
Yeah, we totally had a budget. We kind of had a max that we would spend, and then I, um, being the planner that I am, tried to do everything I could to keep it under that. And like, if we could have saved money, that was like my ideal. In the end, so our budget was 20 because we were going to kind of DIY a lot of things. So it's not a huge budget for the like a wedding these days, but I really wanted to fight hard to keep under that because it was important to us that we didn't start our marriage like, really behind financially or spending outside of our means. I felt like we could have created this really epic day. I was determined to create an epic day with, a smaller budget, and we managed to achieve it. I think in the end, we spent 17, just over 17. So that was kind of like, oh, heck, great, we've got some extra money to spend on our
Impressive.
honeymoon.
Yeah.
So we shopped up large, but we worked really hard to get that to that point. And yeah, so yeah, you can maybe that like gives some context to why things like traveling out of the city and having a really expensive wedding dress and the video for all of those things weren't always possible, and we had to pivot. Yeah, I think it is possible with a smaller budget to really love what you can achieve. I think you just got to get a little bit creative, and you got to think outside the box of how you can make something like on Pinterest that you love the look of. How can you actually just DIY it from Kmart and Spotlight? Well, who do you know who can help you creatively do stuff? I.e., like, I think I spent $5 on the fabric for my neck scarf. It was just like a set. I think it was a sale on it, like Spotlight or something. And then my friend sewed it for me, and I gave her a block of chocolate to say thank you.
So
And so,
good.
like, for my neck scarf, that some of them are expensive to purchase, I had the like personable element to my wedding dress, but also it only cost $5. So that was like, I was just trying to think of ways to be super creative. And that's what I think a small budget does. It gets you to think really outside the box of how you can achieve what you want to achieve.
Yeah, I love that. So good for people to hear. I get a lot of messages, people being like, oh, can you share lower budget weddings, like 10, 15 grand? And I'm like, it's hard to find, or you just have
Totally.
to make those sacrifices, like the smaller guest list, smaller bridal party, doing a bit more DIY. Yeah, you're not necessarily going to have the wedding you see on Pinterest, but it can still be really beautiful and personal. So yeah, cool to hear that, and a few things you did to save. Very impressive budget, definitely.
Thanks.
And you're about to go on your honeymoon, but yeah, how's that process planning that? And yeah, did you went on a little mini moon straight away? Yeah, tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so we wanted to go away right away afterwards because we wanted obviously to have some time to ourselves. When you're like, your wedding kind of does end up becoming about a lot of other people because you've got all these people in town that, if you're anything like us, they're from different parts of the country. And so you want to spend time with them. I think the day after our wedding, we had a family gathering for people who had traveled. So we got to have lunch with everybody, and we left that like full as ever, happy that we got to see people, but also so tired. And like both of us just drove in the car back to the Airbnb. We were like this, like really exhausted. And so the next day we flew to Wellington for like 4 nights, I think it was, just to have a little mini moon. We had gone to Wellington before, and we loved just like staying on the waterfront and like scootering around, and there were flea markets and like places we could go get nice coffee and shopping that Nelson does not have. So we just wanted to go there, do the kind of the exact same thing, but we knew that we wanted an overseas holiday at some point in our first year of marriage. So after Wellington, we started planning to we were tossing up Hawaii or Japan. And we've gone with Japan.
Yay.
I mean, Japan, I've been to Japan once and loved it. My husband's never been, so we're actually off next Saturday for a couple of weeks. And we sort of, wanted to go all out because it might be like our last overseas holiday for a wee bit. So we wanted to just really go all out, have a lot of fun. So we honestly, we're beaming. We're so excited. We've told every hotel, everything there that we're on our honeymoon to see what and how. Actually, that's a really cool part of telling people that you're on your honeymoon. When we went to Wellington, we put on our thing that we're on our honeymoon, and then they were like, when we went to check in, they were like, yeah, so we put on the penthouse. And we were like, okay, cool, a penthouse. That's so sweet. Thank you. And then we go up and we walk in, and it is a 2 bedroom, 2 bathroom corner suite with the 2 baths. It was a kitchen,
So
dining.
good.
Like, we were living, like, we were like, saving all this money on our wedding was the best thing ever, to come and have a penthouse honeymoon with like, quite a chunky money of savings for spending. So we just spent a ridiculous amount of money on new shoes and clothes, and we just had so much fun. So tell people you're on your honeymoon. Definitely do it, because
So
we were really
good.
blessed.
Oh, I love that. Hopefully, you get some perks in Japan as well. We'll see.
Totally.
So exciting. It's nice that you've had that to look forward to as well. Like, yeah, fun little city staycay vibe. And then, yeah, so exciting. Do you have any sort of helpful resources that you use during planning, different apps, or, yeah, ways that you found inspo, vendors, stuff like that?
Yeah. Oh, yes, a vendor that I loved, which helped inspire a lot of my indoor decor. I not only used them, but also felt they were really inspiring. It was table linen. And so I'm glad we spent a little bit of money on linen, and I'm really glad we made that choice, because otherwise, just standard white tablecloths might have kind of felt a little bit not enough. And so we went with the, like I mentioned earlier, the butter yellow and wisteria purple. But then you just scroll through their Instagram and they've got such stunning table setups, and there were like so many different ideas that I loved. And when you go onto one on, I think they were on my Instagram. You go onto one and you find another one that's like really cool, and they just like endless. So that's definitely, like, if you're looking at wanting to do decor DIY stuff, you've obviously got Pinterest, that's great. And then I think you can go looking at table setups and table linens for hire, because they often do really cool styled designs to help you see how you can use their products. So I think that's a really smart move. And then I used Canva a lot as well to do some of the digital stuff. Like, I think I designed our wedding invitations and our save the dates. There's like, Canva's really helpful if you're not creative, because there's a lot of like preset designs you can pick, and you can change colors and you can do stuff like that. And it's not super expensive. I think a month subscription's $20, and I just like did quite a bit of stuff in a month, and then I think I canceled my subscription or something like that. So, and there is a free version as well. So I think Canva was really helpful for me being a DIY kind of bride. Definitely recommend using Canva.
Yeah, yeah, they're such good ones. Table Linen's amazing, Lizzie and her team, and they are like, yeah, ship anywhere all around the country. But
Yeah.
yeah, such great inspo on their Instagram. I've worked with them a lot as well. So good. Yeah, those are great tips. You've given some amazing advice already. Is there anything else you would say to a couple that's planning their wedding at the moment?
Yeah, I think something that I learned throughout the wedding planning process is, if it's stressful or things aren't always going your way, it's totally normal and totally okay. And I think, don't feel like, oh my gosh, this is like not going how I thought it was going to be. Or like, I think we've been sold this idea that weddings are like the most important day of your life, and they're a special and a precious and a really significant day, but they're not more important than your marriage.
Mm.
So if your day doesn't go perfectly, or if something goes wrong, then I think something I kept reminding myself of, and I think it's good for everybody to do this in any element of life, but your day doesn't define you or your marriage. How good or bad your day goes doesn't define you. Um, you'll be, you can have an epic marriage. Obviously, marriage is like there's a lot more work that goes into being married than there is just the day. You can have an awesome day and still have to navigate all the challenges of, for some of us, living with our partners after marriage. There's so much that changes. Your whole life can change. So I think it's just important to remember that it's not the be all end all if your date isn't perfect, or even if it is the most perfect day, it still doesn't change how awesome your marriage can be, or what sort of work you want to put into that. So yeah, I think that's what I probably appreciated hearing myself, is just like, it's normal to struggle. It's normal that it's not a perfectly easy process. It's normal to maybe not get along with family or have differences in how you guys do things. I think my family probably took the wedding as like I think for dads it might be like this. This is like reputation of like how the wedding goes is kind of like, how well have we taken care of everybody and
Yeah.
things like that. And it can feel personal, and it's not. It's really not. None of this stuff is personal. It's just an awesome day for you to celebrate your love, celebrate the people that have blessed you, and if your table linens don't arrive in time, there's always a solution. There's always a way around it. And so nothing's too far gone to be able to solve it last minute. That's probably
Yeah.
what I'd say.
Very wise. Love that. Yeah, it's really is. Marriage is more important than your wedding. And I think a lot of people put so much pressure on this one day, which is understandable, but it is just one amazing day. And you're going to have other
Totally.
amazing days after that. You've not peaked in life
Totally.
at your wedding. So, yeah, love that. How is married life now? And do you feel like you got any of the post wedding blues?
Post wedding blues, no, but I think that was because we got married in September 2024, so just last year. But we went straight into sort of summer and then Christmas. And so there was a lot to look forward to. And now it's getting into winter, we're planned Japan. So I think to help offset post wedding blues, I definitely expected to have them because I love big events and then can sometimes feel like, wow, when's the next one, you know?
Mm.
But I didn't, I think because we had a few things in the works. So I think that was a really smart move to plan our honeymoon overseas, you know, at the start of winter. So we get out, have fun, and then we come home and then we get to be cozy. And then married life is wonderful. It's an incredible journey to take with somebody. It's not always easy, and I think because you're navigating learning about somebody else, and even through your dating life, you know, you're always getting to know this person. But having, like, if I could tell little Kristie, having that like team partner, your best friend that you get to have sleepovers with, and you get to build a life with, she'd be like beaming. She'd be absolutely like, wow, we did that. That's so epic. And so, yeah, like it's quite exciting to think about what our next steps will be. And you just have a teammate for life, and it's pretty awesome. So, yeah, married life is great. It's really nice to go through the highs and lows of life and the mundane parts with somebody when you're used to being single, like I was up until I think I was 28.
Yeah.
I was single for 28 years. So you get really used to your own company, but then, yeah, it's really nice to start enjoying somebody else's company and sharing the load with them and things like that. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Oh, I love that. It's been so cool to watch you on that whole journey. We were together in the single trenches for years, but yeah.
Time of our lives.
Yeah, no, so cool to see. So happy for you. And yeah, I love that what you said about the timing of it as well, that you kind of were going into like Christmas and summer. I think that's cool to have your wedding sort of before then, and then it's like the next that like yeah, end of year season to look forward to and enjoy your summer. So good.
Totally.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming on. Is there anything else that we missed or you wanted to add as we wrap up?
No, I think we covered plenty. I think I talked heaps.
You were great. So
No, it
good.
was awesome. Thanks so much for having me. So much fun to chat. It's actually really nice to chat about your wedding because you kind of lose that once you get married. It kind of ends. You don't talk about it that
Mm.
much anymore. So that's really fun.
Yeah. Oh, nice. It's good. Yeah, to reflect with you. And I don't know, I hope these episodes are like special for the people that come on them as well, for their friends and family to listen to, and even them to listen back to down the track to like remember those
Yeah.
feelings while it's a bit more fresh. But yeah, always special to have a good friend on, and yeah, someone who not only is a friend but trusted me as a photographer as well, which I never expect my friends to book me. It's always an honor when they do. But yeah, so cool to be a part of your day in that way as well. And then yeah, share it on here. So thank you so much.
Thanks. It's a blessing to have you on our wedding day. I wish we could have included you in so much more, but you know, you did plenty with the photography stuff. But thanks for our beautiful photos. We were so blessed by them.